Welcome to the Salesforce Data Security Model Overview. This presentation will be a high-level approach to how data is accessed in the Salesforce.com system. Salesforce.com security seems to be a topic that trips up a lot of administrators because it's very complicated. I think of it like a layered cake. There are a lot of ways to restrict and grant access or layer access in Salesforce. So let's jump to the agenda. We're going to be going over organization-wide defaults, profiles, and roles, followed by a demo in Salesforce instance. Then we're going to go back in and do permission sets, account and sales teams, sharing rules, and then go back to a few more demos in the Salesforce instance. So this should give you a really nice overview of how, or at least a starting point of how the security is set up. So I don't want to throw this complicated slide in front of you right away, but this is a really nice slide to start with because it has some of the key data types to access your security. You have record level security for organization-wide defaults, which include role hierarchies, sharing rules, and manual sharing. Users are allowed to view an object but are restricted on which records they can see. But object level security is related to profiles. This is the bluntest way to control data. You can prevent users from seeing, creating, editing, and deleting any object, such as an account or opportunity. And then there's field level security, also related to profile. Now you can prevent users from doing the same. And a good example would be if you want to hide the social security number from the contact object, but still allow overall access to contacts. So don't worry, we're going to go over that in the overview in the Salesforce instance. I'm going to be giving a demo and then going into a little more detail. So while this slide's a little daunting, I think it'll make a lot more sense once you see this and then go into demo, and then I think you'll feel much more comfortable. So let's jump into record level security, organization-wide defaults. This is a good beginning because this is the baseline security for your Salesforce instance. Organization-wide defaults are used to restrict access or records or objects. So while I'm a big fan of the open org, allowing people to see as much as possible, there are going to be some situations where you have to lock down access to subsets of your records. So you have to ask yourself one question when setting up your organization-wide defaults. Is there ever a time that a person or team should not be able to see this record or see this particular data? So let's look at the groups we see here. Under Open, you have your sales, support, management, and partners for your partner portal. Is there ever a time when someone within these groups should not be able to access a record? And if you can answer no, there's never a time, then you will have an open sharing model, and everyone will be able to see all records at any time. But if the answer is yes, we do not want our partners, for example, to see all our accounts, then your business will fold over to the right-hand side here, and you will have a private sharing model. Now, there are a number of ways to grant access once you've locked this down. You have your role hierarchies, sharing rules, sharing records using groups, sales teams, and account teams, and special privileges you have as a record owner. So we're going to be going into that as well in the demo. Now, I like to touch on record owner because, as I mentioned in the previous slide, being the record owner gives you some special privileges. So even if your organization-wide defaults are set to private, it's all locked down, the user that is the record owner typically should be able to delete, edit, view, and transfer ownership of the record, which may be a lead opportunity or account, for example. So there you go. There's the beginning. It wasn't so hard. We went over the field level security for organization-wide defaults. We're going to be jumping into object level security for profiles and field level security as well. So profiles. Profiles control the last two types of data access security: the object level security, as I mentioned, and the field level security. They also control apps and tab settings, permissions, which is allows you to customize and administer Salesforce.com, and page layouts. So let's start with a nice definition of profiles. Profiles are a collection of permissions that determines what the user can do with records they have access to and how they view those records. A good example would be if I were to set up a specific type of profile. Let's say I went through my standard profiles and they didn't have an HR manager, which they don't. So I would set that up as a custom profile. Now, if I was an HR manager, if I was setting up the HR manager, I may not want them to have access to accounts opportunities. So I would limit that access. And what I could do is they have create, read, update, and delete. I might take the delete off of accounts opportunities and leads. But anything related to the HR manager's day-to-day basis, like they're touching on positions, for example. They're touching on employee websites, things like that relate to the HR manager position. I would want to give them full create, read, update, and delete, or CRUD access to those records. So just another example. Now, profiles versus roles. Profiles control what you can do, as we've discussed. Roles control the data that you can see. So let's go into a little more detail on that. So roles is just what it sounds like. It's what do? They create logical groupings in the reporting structure. And what this does is it grants downward visibility to records. So if you look over on the right, in the bottom right, you have a couple people with these headphones on. Well, their manager can see all the data and all the records that they have access to, but they cannot see anything going forward. They can't see anything within the next structure up, which is the manager. And the CEO can see everything because he needs to allow visibility for reporting and gathering metrics. He can view all the way down the chain in any direction. So again, it grants downward visibility to records, not upwards. Now, just a couple things to go over for role hierarchy since we're here. You want to use role hierarchy to increase the amount of records users have access to. And each Salesforce.com user can only have a single role. And this is similar to the org chart, which we just went over. And there's additional access using the role hierarchy can be disabled on an object-by-object basis. And I like to take a few screenshots just to make this a little real. This is what it's going to look like when you go in there and you start to design your role hierarchy. If you open up all and you start to add these different roles, you're going to set them up so that you're going to have more of the structure that we had just seen. So here's an example. Take the blue arrow. You have your SVP of Customer Service and Support. Well, under there, you have your subordinates or your subordinate departments. You have your Customer Support International, North America, and your installation. Those departments cannot see anything that anything in the SVP Customer Service and Support for records, any details. But the Customer Service and Support, he or she may see all of the data within those three departments. So just an idea there. And I just want to mention from a cultural perspective, smaller companies usually start out with an open model, which I promote unless there's a specific reason, as I mentioned before, regarding partners and opportunities, for example, that would provide the companies to start maybe locking these down. And the same goes reverse. If you want to, whether you're locking it down, making it private, or you're opening it up, there should be specific reasons why you're doing that. So let's go to profiles for a couple more things here. One of the rules of profiles that I think you should definitely keep in mind is profiles never override your organization's sharing model or role hierarchy. We'll be going over the sharing model in a little while here as well. And also there's a video specifically for the sharing model. But for right now, this is a really good rule to remember and something you want to write down on a wall next to you as you're designing your organization-wide defaults. So standard profiles. I had mentioned that there's custom profiles and standard profiles. Standard profiles are offered by the Salesforce instance. When you log in there, they'll have these available. You can clone these, but these are the ones that are available. You have your system admin, standard user, read-only, contract manager, solution manager, marketing user, chatter for user, and chatter moderator user. So we'll be seeing a few of these as we dive into the demo. So for the agenda, we have covered the organization-wide defaults, profiles, roles, and now it is demo time. So hang on to your shorts. We are going into the demo, and if you look at the next demo, you'll be able to go in there, and then we'll follow up with the other agenda. Thanks so much.